we'll get into in a minute a little bit about what's going on with you guys, if you don't mind sharing at some point. You don't have to. But before I go into kind of the main body of the talk, is not to blow smoke up my backside. It's just to give you an understanding of kind of where we've been, who I am, and what you may have heard all this field before, and kind of how we got to this point in order to be able to help you guys. So, my name is Jordan Sahota. I used to be an international ballroom and Latin dancer. I did that from 3 to 17. I started getting knee pain at 13. Had a knee operation at 14 that failed. I had 2 injections in my knee by the time I was 17. They both failed because it was all inappropriate healthcare.
Oh dear.
It's all diagnosed as something that I needed but didn't necessarily need it. Good morning, come in, not a problem at all. Good morning, good morning. And so at 17 I had to stop my dancing career. I went to university to learn more about my own issues. I got told at 14 if I don't stop what I was doing I wouldn't be able to walk by the time I was 21. It wasn't technically wrong. After my second injection I walked in fine, I came out on crutches and couldn't walk for a month. So technically it wasn't wrong. I eventually found out what my issues were and needed an operation that was 6 months of learning to walk again, which I told them, no, I'm fine. Biggest regret of my life. That was 10 years ago. I now have 2 kids that one's starting to run around the garden and play football and I can't do what I want to do. So I'm here to help people get back to the things that they love and enjoy and want to do because I physically can't. That being said, we've now grown a business to have a team of people around me, Millie, Lewis, who some of you may have met or not met, and we're growing very quickly. But less about me, more importantly, what are you guys suffering with, if you don't mind sharing, so that I can then also tailor information as we go forwards to help you as individuals. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah.
Swelling of the legs.
Okay.
My legs are swollen and I've got discolouring.
Mm-hmm.
They say it's to do with the blood.
Yeah, and that leaves you with pins and needles tingling, numbness, pain.
Cold as well.
Okay.
It's cold.
Are your feet cold and your toes cold?
Yeah.
And do they go numb, like feel like they're numb at all?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pain with that?
Not all the time.
Yeah.
Only when I'm walking, basically the bottom of my feet hurt.
Yeah.
I did a charity walk yesterday, which I shouldn't have done.
How far was that?
It was only 5 kilometres around Rosewell.
Yeah. That's where that event took place.
Yeah.
Okay. And by the end of it, you knew that you shouldn't have done it.
That's right.
Okay. Okay. What else are we suffering with, if you don't mind sharing?
I've got very strong pins and needles down my right arm to my fingertips, in the opposite, and also like the palm of my hand and the back of my hand, and also from my knee down to my toes, which is very strong in my toes. Yeah, so and it's painful as well. There's what pain in my toes and pins and needles in my arm. It's just pins and needles.
Okay. Do we get numbness with that at all?
No.
Do we find that we then have a lack of power at times, a lack of control over the limb at times?
Yeah. But like I had several strokes in 2023, and it's all started from that. Of course.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else? You don't have to share. You don't, if you're not comfortable, so it's not a problem.
Yeah. I think I've got neuropathy in my heel, my right heel. I ruptured my Achilles 2 years ago. I was a bit worried that it might be like early onset diabetes or a sign of diabetes. I don't think it is. I think it's because of the injury. I have had peripheral neuropathy from chemotherapy before, so I know what that's like. It's similar but different.
Okay. What's the name? Sorry. No.
My name's Jackie.
Okay, so at the moment we can see we've got a couple of different drivers behind what our nerve-related symptoms are coming from, okay? Sometimes we don't know what the driver is, sometimes we do, okay? So we can have, you mentioned 2 of them really. One is post-chemo and the other is diabetic. Is it diabetes as a driver? The third, is the 3 main that we see is then we don't know the actual driver, okay? Neuropathy is started, but we don't know the actual driver. Other circumstances is we've had Parkinson's patients, stroke patients.
What about surgery?
So this is another one. So
I've got can't feel the back of my arm at all. I don't
Yeah.
think that's ever going to come back.
Depends. So we in surgery, they normally have to cut through a nerve in order to get to the relevant place. What can happen with that is you can either get numbness or hypersensitivity. So where they did a surgical intervention on my knee, they cut through the venous nerve on the inside of the knee. I can't have anybody touch it now. I can touch it just about, but if somebody else touches it, I either want to punch them in the face or throw up. Depends on the day. Okay. Others get complete numbness. So I had a patient who had part of their lung removed. They've got a massive scar down and around their shoulder blade. Their 2 ribs taken out in order to get to the lung, and that's left them with numbness, neuropathy all the way through their rib cage. So post-surgery is another one. And repetitive surgeries in the same place can cause neuropathy. So I had a patient recently, and I hadn't come across this until they came to us, with something called osteostatic tremor, which they'd had 7 spinal surgeries. They'd have a spinal stimulator inserted as well, a bit like a pacemaker that controls the rhythm of the spinal cord, that they could turn off and on, but they were constantly having a Parkinson's-esque tremor, but it was all to do with the surgery and the nerve-related issues after that. They're kind of like the more higher-end symptoms that we do see, but you can get numbness with sciatica, you can get pins and needles tingling with sciatica and those sorts of nerve-related conditions as well. Anybody heard of a Morton's neuroma before? Yeah, so Morton's neuroma is like a pebble in the sole of the foot, in the ball of the foot, sorry, that binds around the nerve, and that can give you neuropathy into the toes as well. So there's multiple different causes that can come of it. Some musculoskeletal that we can diagnose, others that we don't necessarily know the driver behind. Okay, the driver is really important because it actually determines the success rate in the long-term eradication of symptoms. For example, with a diabetic patient, if they don't control the diabetes variables, the neuropathy can come back, or the symptoms of neuropathy can come back. Yeah.
Can it be removed from people with diabetes?
The symptoms can, but the long-term effects of it actually staying away is down to the control of the diabetes variables.
It can be away.
Your pain can
then
go away.
Completely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll show you an example of that a bit later. Whereas with post-chemo, for example, chemo is a drug that has a half-life, which means eventually it will leave your system. Once that's gone, there's no driver anymore, you might still have the symptoms, so when we get rid of the symptoms, there's no more driver, the symptoms just stay away.
Sometimes it stays.
But if we do the right avenues, and we'll discuss kind of treatment methods and that sort of stuff, if we get it away, it can go away.
Right.
Okay. Anybody else happy to share before I move on quickly?
Yeah, so I got Lyme's disease
Mhm.
about 15 years ago, and it got to about stage 3, so it was quite bad before it was diagnosed. It was just burning skin, symptoms all over my body,
Yeah.
mouth, inside, neck, everywhere. It was the Borrelia virus that actually was the cause of it, and so I had a lot of treatment for that, actually using natural remedies and stuff. It kind of went away eventually after several years. Then it all came back, and then someone said it's to do with the mercury of the amalgams came out.
Okay.
So I spent a lot of money, a lot of time having all those removed and not paying.
Yeah.
And then it cleared again after a few years, but it's just started to come back again. So I'm just wondering if there's something still in my system that hasn't quite gone away.
Potentially, if that's the driver, like I say, if the driver's been completely eradicated, the symptoms should not necessarily go away of their own accord, but you've got to do the things to get rid of it. Once it is gone, if the driver's gone, it shouldn't come back. Which says to me there's some underlying driver still pushing that. Okay. Right. Some of this talk will reference diabetic neuropathy. Neuropathy, the main body of research around neuropathy is diabetic. Okay. But the symptoms are similar across the board. It's the driver that's the main concern. Okay. So that's our Portsmouth clinic, but I don't really need to go into that. What we've come across and we brought into the clinic is a new way of treating neuropathy. Okay, we'll show you it today, we'll go through it today, but I want to talk you through the kind of stages of it at the moment. So who feels like their life is limited at this moment in time by neuropathy, pain, something like that? Yeah? That can be lack of function, that can be social interaction, when you've got a flare-up or in a lot of pain, you don't want to go out. Yeah? It can be that you just can't do the daily activities that you want to do, or your quality of life and your independence is starting to deteriorate. And starting to rely on others quite a lot. Okay. But like I said, there's new treatment methods, there's new hope, and we can bring more quality of life back to the rest of your life. Okay. Diabetic neuropathy is a very prevalent, complicated issue for those with diabetes. Not everybody with diabetes will get neuropathy. Okay, about 50% of the population do. Okay, and it's majority type 2 that do. Okay, the rest of this makes more sense to everybody rather than just the diabetic bit. Okay, so it has an impact on daily activities. 85% of people with some form of neuropathy, especially diabetic neuropathy, will say their daily life is impacted. Yeah, would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. If we're more here for a chronic pain position, is it still impacting your daily life? Are you aware of it on a daily basis? Yeah. I'm fully aware of my knee. My knee is chronic pain on a daily basis. Okay. If I don't stand there and click every 5 minutes, my life's having a good day. Okay. If I'm there clicking every 5 minutes, it's impacting my day. Okay. So far, every time we've done this talk, everybody is unanimous in agreeing with us that currently, in the state of the healthcare system, the treatment and the aftercare of post-surgery, definitely, I came across this the other day, but neuropathy in general is poor. Yeah? Would you agree with that? Yeah? You're having to find your own ways forwards. Okay, so there's, again, another unanimous is that there's a desire for better outcomes and to find a different treatment method. Okay? That being said, without that and with the state of the system, people's mood can be massively affected. Okay? If we're not socially interacting how we want to be, not living the life we want to be, it's very easy to fall into a more negative mindset and negative mood and allow the symptoms to just take over. Okay? Because sometimes it's easier to sit and not doing anything and be in pain than be active and be in pain. Okay? The other bit is who gets sleep disturbances because of their issues. Yeah? Okay? Sometimes it feels like it lights up at night. Your nerves are going off like a Christmas tree. Yeah?
Yeah,
Okay.
like I definitely feel like my foot to my toes being more active at night.
In their symptoms.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
My arms die as well.
Go heavy, go dead.
Dead.
Yeah.
No,
Do you sleep with your hands above your head?
I don't. I wake up with them above my head.
Okay. So the hard bit at night is we can't control where we end up, right? But being above our head, I'm not saying stop it because it's
Yeah.
something you can't.
That's
And
right.
I would always prioritize getting sleep over trying to change your position. Okay. There's no right or wrong in terms of sleeping position. There's either you get sleep or you don't. Okay. But being above head is harder to keep the blood supply going up, and then that irritates the nerve and
But I think I do that in my sleep.
Yeah.
To avoid the
pain that
Yeah.
you're lying in a different
Yeah.
position with. Okay. And then we have the functional impairment side of things. Okay. So who finds it difficult walking long distances?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Getting in and out of a car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Going up and down stairs.
Definitely.
Okay. Putting clothes on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I can go into more like physical activities of going for a run, doing activity, all of this side of things. But if we look at it on a day-to-day basis of things that we do every time, if we've got upper limb issues, getting stuff out of a high cupboard, for example, can be an issue. Okay. So functional impairment is definitely there as well. Okay. What have we tried so far? So obviously we've gone down the medication route, we've gone down some surgical routes. What else have we tried?
Cream.
Nothing.
I was given cream
Okay.
by the local surgery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any benefit from that?
A little bit, but not a lot.
Okay.
It's not cleared out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Medication.
Medication? I interrupted somebody.
I haven't tried anything because I didn't know there was anything you could do.
Okay.
I thought you just had to get on with it.
Okay. Yeah. Who's been told you just have to get on with it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been to the chiropractor and had acupuncture, which has helped. My neck and back was out of alignment.
Okay. Took the edge off it, but didn't necessarily get rid of it.
I can't afford it.
Okay. Okay.
That's my biggest problem.
Who's tried exercise? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All of these things, to some degree, are puzzle pieces to the answer. Okay. They all can play a part. It's just whether that puzzle piece is right for you and your puzzle. Okay. But it's not going to be one of those things on its own that then does everything. Okay. For example, medication can take the edge off it, It can eradicate it, but what it's really doing is masking the issue. Okay? Don't get me wrong, there's a time and place for it. When we treat patients, the first thing we try and do is get off medication. There's some medications we can't get you off, that's absolutely fine, but in terms of pain and that side of things, okay? Who's tried amitriptyline? Who's tried gabapentin?
Yeah.
Pregabalin? Yeah? Did you find relief from them?
A bit.
Okay? Did you also have weird and wonderful dreams? Did you feel spaced out?
Sometimes,
Yeah.
Yeah? Sometimes the side effects don't outweigh the positives that they give you of the relief, right? And so they go from amitriptyline, normally is the first one, and then they'll either go gabapentin or pregabalin. Okay? Who's tried physio?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay? Podiatrist? For foot related?
I'm referred to one,
Yeah.
but I haven't seen one yet.
Okay? When were you referred to them?
A few weeks ago.
And you haven't had an appointment date through yet? Man, I'm gonna love it, and the reason why I love it is because I just hear more and more of these stories, right? And what I mean by that is, spoken to a lady, so part of this you might have seen on the kind of entryway into booking in is we offered a free consultation in advance if you felt like that was the right step for you. And I had a lady yesterday who I was speaking to who has neuropathy. Her nerve conduction study test, where they put pins in you and then set your nerves alight to see if they're actually functioning, is not until November. And she asked for that 2 months ago.
I just get fobbed off all the time.
Yeah. The length of time that that is and the increased rate of symptoms that could happen in that time is phenomenal. Okay. The other bit is, we already know the nerves are an issue because of the type of symptoms that she was having, numbness, tingling, okay, lack of power, lack of function. So why are we doing a conductive study to find out whether it's the nerve? With no answer afterwards. That's the bit that I end up questioning, okay? Who's had to make dietary adjustments? Good morning,
Apologies.
yeah, no problem. Dietary adjustments? No? Anybody had to? Diabetic is normally that answer,
I
but
didn't have to, but just losing weight has happened.
yeah. Depending on, so let's say we're talking about sciatica or something like that, it's coming from the back, we'll get back pain. Yes, reduction in body weight can have an effect on relieving the pressure on the nerve. Okay, so definitely. And then acupuncture, who's tried a TENS machine?
I use a TENS machine.
Yeah, find benefit from it?
Yeah,
Okay, while it's on,
yeah.
take it off and then there's,
It has a little bit of a residual effect, but not for very long.
okay. Anybody else tried anything else?
Shockwave.
Okay, from a nerve perspective,
Yeah.
or from the heel pain perspective?
Heel pain.
Okay, so from a heel pain perspective, if it is plantar fasciitis, shockwave should help. Okay, but from a nerve perspective,
Very temporary.
okay, from a nerve perspective, excuse the language, it probably pissed it off. Yeah, okay, because nerves are very, very sensitive. Yeah,
Reflexology,
find benefit from that?
very good.
Okay, good. Okay, what I want to talk about a little bit before we move on to the next bit is just educate you a little bit around nerve symptoms. Okay, so we talked about pins and needles tingling, we talked about numbness, we talked about pain. Okay, what other sensations do we get that you guys maybe
It's like burning skin.
burning? Okay, anything else?
Stiffness.
Okay, so if I just write them up here quickly, stiff, burning, pins and needles, numb, pain,
I get like
Discoloration.
electric shocks.
Sorry.
Sorry, I get like electric
electric
shocks.
shocks, yeah. Discoloration.
Yeah.
Discoloration is more the blood, but then can lead to these symptoms. Okay? Anything else?
I flew last week, so in those specific areas I was getting more shooting pains.
Shooting pain, yeah. So pain we can break off into a number of different things. So we can have sharp shooting, we could have an ache, okay? There could be a whole host of them under that. I've had patients describe they're feeling like they've got spiders or ants crawling up and down their skin.
Yeah, mine itches, I can't
Yeah.
scratch it, if I
Itching,
can.
yeah.
I have had that in my face for a while.
Yeah.
Not recently, but 2 years ago. In fact, it felt like I was walking through a cobweb.
Yeah, it was there, but you
Yes,
couldn't
yeah,
get rid
yeah, I
of
was
it.
constantly going on up there. I mean, yeah, knew there was something there, but I couldn't stop doing it.
Yeah. I'm going to put loss of power and function there as well. Okay. for example, we had somebody come to one of these talks once with something called drop foot. Anybody heard of drop foot before? Yeah, complete lack of power that they
Yeah.
couldn't engage their tibialis anterior, and it meant that their foot was just floppy, flapping. Okay. So what we have is loss of power or loss of function. If you imagine this like a ladder and we want to climb up the ladder back to nothing, okay, is right at the bottom. Okay. If we have a lack of power or lack of function and we can't engage that at all, the nerve is not supplying that area whatsoever. Okay? So that's at the bottom. We then have numbness. Okay? You're going to ask me a question in a minute, I'm going to answer it as we get there. Okay? Numbness is towards the bottom because if you've got no sensation at all that you can feel, the nerve is really not giving us the signal that we need. Okay? But you're going to go, but sharp pain, shooting pain feels worse than numbness. Would you agree with that? Yeah? But that's here. Shooting, burning. The reason why that's there is because at least you can feel something. Doesn't feel better by any means. In some cases it feels worse for it. But actually from a scientific nature and from what we're trying to achieve, you can actually feel something now. You have some sensation. It's not a nice sensation, but we have some sensation. Okay? Then we can, so I put electric shock in here as well. We can then have the pins and needles, okay, tingling, discomfort. And we want to work that way up.
So do you have to go through that?
You don't have to go through all of them. It can jump from ones to different ones, okay? So you can go from numbness straight to pins and needles tingling. You go from numbness back to full sensation. It just depends on how your body reacts to treatment and stimulus, okay? But this is where we are trying to work up. When we try and discuss that is because when we have patients, they come in and go, it's got worse, I've now got burning. Well, actually, it's got better, it's just feels worse because you can feel something now and it's not a nice sensation. Okay? Does that make sense? Okay. Any questions about that?
With numbness, does cold, extreme cold come in there?
So the numbness, this goes back to kind of discoloration. Extreme cold can be nerve, but it's more blood supply orientated as a symptom. But then the numbness that is associated to that, or the pain that's associated to that, is because the nerve is irritated as a result. Okay. The other bit is numb can also be like an altered sensation. You know you can touch it, you know you're feeling it, but it doesn't feel like the other side. Okay. Cool. So we have bought in a device from the US that helps to regenerate the nerve, re-stimulate the nerve. At the moment, your nervous system, whether it's chronic pain, neuropathy, whatever is the driver, is not sending a normalized signal through your nervous system. Okay, it's sending an inappropriate signal. Nerves can either send a signal or they don't. Okay? So when we have a muscle contraction, for example, the nerve sends a signal to the muscle telling it to contract. It doesn't send another signal to say stop contracting. The signal just stops, the muscle contraction doesn't continue anymore. Think of it like a light switch. You turn the switch on, the signal goes to turn the lights on. The whole time the switch is on, the lights are on, you turn the switch off, the lights go off. Turn the switch off, your muscle contraction stops. Okay? However, when an inappropriate signal is going through, there's no off switch. So does anybody get cramps or tight spasmodic musculature? Because the nerve is sending an inappropriate signal the whole time, and the muscle doesn't know whether to contract or relax, so it stays in a semi-contracted state. Okay? When it's a numb sensation or tingling, it's an altered sensation. The nerve is not sending an appropriate signal for what it should be. Okay? So, what we have is a device, and I'll show you the device if somebody wants to try it, it's not a problem at all. I've got some videos on it as well. But it re-stimulates the nerve to send a normalized signal back through the body. Okay? If you were a laptop or a computer or your phone, what would you do if it started to go wrong? What does Apple support tell you to do or Google tell you to do?
Switch off and switch on.
Turn it off and turn it on again. Okay? Unfortunately, we can't do that ethically, but we can do that from a nerve perspective with this machine, okay? By sending it a normalized signal through. Okay? So I've already talked about the nerve rebooting part. Can regenerate and heal the nerve. Okay? So nerves are the slowest healers out of our whole body. Okay? If you were to tear a muscle or cut your skin, for example, it takes 72 hours for it to scab over and start to heal. Okay? That's the acute healing. A nerve, if you were to sever a nerve, so I know a gentleman that was in an accident, severed his nerve, and that's why he's got dropped foot. Okay, it grows at a rate of 1 centimetre a year. A nerve, so very, very slow healer. Okay, a tendon might take 6-8 weeks to heal. You've got muscle and skin, tendons, and bones, nerves. Okay, in terms of their rate of healing. And it takes a holistic program to get you back to where you want to be. And what I mean by that is those puzzle pieces need to fit together for you as an individual to make your life back to where you want it to be. Okay. Any questions on the healing side of things? No. So, this device has come from the US. There's currently 30 of them in the country. As of next month, there'll be 31 because I'm getting another one. Okay. But there's 30 of them in the country. They're all FDA cleared in the US. In terms of clearance here, there is none because they don't know about it. We are 5 to 10 years behind technology in healthcare in the UK. Okay? It's non-invasive, it's drug-free, and it stimulates the nerve and regeneration of the nerve from cellular level. It looks like an old school iPod. I'm not gonna lie to you. If anybody remembers what I mean by that, okay? But it's very, 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 very powerful. We can utilize it, and you can find maximal benefits if we start to look at your vitamin and nutrient intake alongside. Okay, who's tried magnesium with their nerves? Okay, yeah. We look at those sorts of added benefits that are really simple to add in. You can find benefit. Okay. What was I going to say? Come back. So, this little device is really, really powerful. What we've started to use it with is neuropathy, diabetic neuropathy, post-chemo neuropathy, everything we've spoken about so far. Okay. We can also use it with frozen shoulder patients, for example. Who's heard of a frozen shoulder? Yeah. If you've seen one or had one, people can't get past here if it's really frozen. We've seen patients where they come in and they can't get past like 90 degrees. Okay. Have you met Karen Martin? You did meet Karen Martin, didn't you? She came in and she couldn't get past 90 degrees. After the first session, she left like this. To the point where I'm even going, this is too good to be true. Have I done myself out of a bit of a job here? And what's the long-term effects of this? She came back for the next session. She was 75% better than when she came in, but not quite how she was when she left. Okay, so she left like this, she came back and she was here. That's still a large amount of improvement. And with a frozen shoulder, which are normally really stubborn, and we're talking like 6, 8, 10 months of treatment, very, very effective. We've also used it with balance proprioception issues. We've used it with carpal tunnel. That's a nerve-related response.
Announcement. Please, can we have taschereception? That's taschereception. Thank you.
And we have also used it with those that have incontinence issues. Okay, it's non-invasive. Don't worry about that. But it helps to stimulate the pelvic floor very, very nicely. Okay. So, let's move on to this bit. So this is another shoulder patient. What this, I'll show you in a second, but this pen is where the nerve stimulus comes from. Okay, that's where the electrical stimulus comes from. The difference between this and a TENS machine will stay very superficial on the skin. Okay, so where the pads are, you find the sensation. Okay, let's go to the next one you see. Okay, you can see that we're stimulating here, but the whole foot is moving. Okay, so actually, the nerve there, we can stimulate the nerve the whole way down the chain. Okay, I was utilizing this yesterday with somebody with a really acute sciatica, and I was stimulating from the back, and their calf was twitching, their foot was twitching. Okay, so we can stimulate the whole chain. Okay, meaning we're not just getting the surface level of the nerve, we're re-educating the nerve from the root of the nerve. Okay. Who wouldn't mind me showing it so you get a sense of the feeling and sensation of it? Okay. Yeah. We'll do a couple. We're talking here, aren't we? Where does it go into the foot at all?
Just sort of around that area. Maybe. Doesn't really go.
Can you pinpoint it?
Yeah, it's basically just in the arch really.
Okay. Slip your shoe and sock off for me.
Is that a pain at the bottom of the heel?
That's right.
Yeah, that's what I've got.
Or I can get you to drag your chair and put your foot on that one for me.
I've got one of these pads that you put your feet on and it vibrates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
the one that Ian Botham
Not that
endorses,
particular one, no.
but that sort of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Vironic, is it? Is that the
Sorry?
one? Vironic? Something like that.
Revitive.
Revitive, that's it.
Sorry, what was that?
Revitive.
So, where exactly is the pain? In there, okay. So I'm going to put this pad here. All the pad is like a 3-pin plug, okay? It grounds the signal, okay?
Is it an ultrasonic device?
So it's not like ultrasound at all. Ultrasound will send a sound wave, essentially, a pressure sound wave. This will send an electrical current. All you will feel is a tapping sensation that might get sharp, okay, under this.
Are there any contraindications if there's lymphedema?
Nope.
Is
The
it
only
prohibited?
contraindication is we can't put it on metalwork.
Right.
Okay, so if you've had a knee replacement or something like that, we can't put it there. We can put it on other points, but we can't put it directly on the metalwork.
Would it help with lymphedema?
In combination with other things, but there's other things I would do first with lymphedema. Okay, so we're talking in this region here. Yeah.
You said a knee, what about a hip?
As long as we're not directly on the metalwork, we're fine.
What about pacemaker?
Yeah, I've got this.
Again, if we're nowhere near it, we're absolutely fine. Okay. Right.
Do you use different levels? Like
Yeah.
shockwave?
Yes. So what you're gonna find is you're gonna find a tapping sensation when it gets sharp. Let me know. Okay. Where the tapping?
Yeah.
Sharp.
No.
Good. See his foot contracting? Yeah, sharp. Good. Sharp. So we can go full power with you then. Okay. Tolerable?
Yeah.
Good. Whereas if this was getting sharp and you're going, no, I can't, we'll just turn it down a little bit, okay? But from this point here, we can also go back at the ankle for the nerve as well, or we can go top of the knee, which is what you saw in that video, okay? Depending on what your symptoms are, depends on where we kind of go to, okay? So for example, there's a lady that I was treating yesterday with restless legs. Okay, she's getting it in her feet, she gets it in her calf. So we do a bit of work around here, and then we try and get specific with the toes. So what I mean by that is we currently got all toes going by your little toe. Yeah, your little toe's not moving. Okay. If I start to shift this around a bit.
So what are you feeling in the moment?
Mainly a pulse,
In time with that.
but yeah,
Noise.
slightly, just in that specific area, sharp pain, but not painful.
No, no.
It's not like you want to punch me right now,
Sensation, yeah.
or kick me right now, so
Yeah.
it's fine,
Well,
right?
you get pain in the heel normally.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I get.
So your pain is normally
Self-inflict-
down
Mine
here.
is self-inflicted, it's from running.
Yeah, well, mine's with sport, yeah.
Yeah.
So now we're subtly starting to get your little toes to move. Okay. So depending on symptoms, right? If this was in your hand, we were working with a patient that's thumb was stuck here. Okay. We're working very specifically around the thumb to get that to activate and move. And part of that is the nerve. Part of that is because the muscle isn't contracting how we want it to. Okay. So we
You
can
know that problem where people's fingers go right over like
clawing.
that?
Yeah. Contracture of the tendon as well. Yeah.
Does it work on that?
So depending on what stage they're in, there's a possibility.
They've had
Okay.
2 surgeries which haven't worked.
You have.
No.
They have.
Yeah.
Okay. So they probably had the decompression surgery to relieve cut the tendon and get it to relieve,
Yeah.
and then it went back again. There's an argument that it could work through getting the right muscles to contract, yes. But we would do a test on that first and
Okay.
foremost, yeah.
That's carpal tunnel though, isn't it?
Not necessarily, 2 different sets of symptoms. So carpal tunnel can be tingling pain and numbness, whereas the contracture is more of a muscular tendon
Right.
related issue.
Playing too much tennis.
Yeah, it depends.
Lady friend of mine.
Relatively comfortable, right?
Yeah, so my main problem is my right foot, but
Mhm.
I can slightly feel the left foot.
Yeah.
So is that preventative at all, or is it only when you've actually got?
Oh no, it's if you start to feel the symptoms, it can be utilised. Okay, but this is what we do. Okay, for 10 minutes at a time each point. Okay, but depending on the sensation, depends on what your response will be. For example, okay, so the lady that you saw in the video where her foot was flicking around is a diabetic neuropathy patient. She could not feel the soles of her feet. Okay, so she couldn't wear loose fitting shoes. She couldn't walk barefoot because she didn't know what she was standing on. She couldn't wear loose shoes because she couldn't control the shoe flopping around. Okay, half halfway through her session, she came in open back shoes, and I'm going, what's going on? And she's going, I can feel my feet. I walked around the house in barefoot, which was great because it was over the summer when it was boiling hot. But she came in bare feet because in open back shoes because she could start to feel her feet and control her balance and support. Okay, so it's very, very good at bringing sensation back. It's also very, very good at turning down the pain, essentially. Okay, by regenerating the nerve. Cool. That's basically what we do. Okay, no, very welcome. Any questions on that?
So that would usually be for 10 minutes.
10 minutes per point. Yeah. Okay. Let me dry the sole of your foot off because you've got some gel on it now. Anybody else like me to test?
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Let's do a different point. Leave your shoes on. Does your trouser go up to your knee?
Sorry,
Does your trouser go up to your knee?
yeah,
Then leave your shoes on, and we'll stimulate in a different place. It'll be easier for you.
leave the shoes on?
Yes, please.
Oh, okay,
Just put your foot on the chair,
yeah.
and then pull your trouser leg up as much as it will.
Trouble is the leg's swollen.
So were hers.
Yeah.
Okay. Just relax there for me. That's okay. Put that there. Has anybody got any other interest, like other different symptoms to then just the feet up? Are you interested in your arm?
Well, I get pins and needles
Yeah.
quite strong from my elbow.
Yeah.
Well, maybe from my shoulder.
Yeah.
But definitely notice it from my elbow down to my fingertips. And also you mentioned about this claw thing, because my little finger, when I wake up in the morning, it's in that position. And like to get out of that,
Mobilise.
yeah, I'm almost have to do it.
First aid
Like,
are required
I can't
in the
actually
disabled
straighten
workplace
it.
change. That's the disabled workplace change. Thank you.
So
So
we're gonna
you
go.
know the pains in the hip?
So here, on the side of your knee, is where the sciatic nerve comes down and splits into. It goes down the side of your shin and then goes into your calf as well, that both supply the foot. So we can go from this sort of area. Where we've got a metal knee.
No, I've got, what have I have done? Arthroscopy.
Okay. But no metal work.
Sorry, darling.
So I'm going to turn this down so you don't jump out the chair. Where try and completely relax that leg for me as much as you can, okay? Just straighten it all the way out. That's it. Aware of anything so far?
No.
Aware of anything now? Might just have to move your points.
There's a bit of tingling there.
Where? Under the pen?
Under the pen, yeah.
Just going to put some more gel on this. Sometimes the point that we go for, it isn't in the same direct place as every individual. Okay, so we do have to move it around a couple of times and find where we need to be. But this is the.
Oh, yeah, I feel tingle, yeah.
Too intense?
Yeah.
Okay. Better?
Yeah.
What
Well,
did you feel?
better. Just sort of tingling.
Under the pen.
Yeah, under the pen, yeah.